Hey, Buck Junkies, we've been fans of these Bear Creek Arsenal uppers for about 2 years now, right, Mark?
That's right.
We bought the 350 Legends here to deer hunt with just because we could drop them on our AR lowers and give us a whole nother round to deer hunt with on our farm. Now, Mark, Bear Creek found out about we were shooting them, and they wanted us to check out one of their 450 Bushmasters, so they sent us the complete rifle,
Complete
right?
rifle, ready to go.
Now, we want to show y'all what it's like unboxing this 450 Bushmaster from Bear Creek. We're going to put a scope on it today. We're even going to send some rounds downrange and zero that scope in, and I want to compare it kind of to how I know my 350 shoots on my AR.
That's right. It's got big shoes to fill because we've been very, very happy with these 350 Legends, but I'm excited to see what this bigger round has in store. All right, Malcolm.
Just like Christmas morning, right,
Like
Mark?
Christmas morning.
I love opening a new gun. So immediately you open up this box that the rifle comes in. Pretty standard. It's pretty much already put together,
It's
Mark.
ready to go.
Pull out some of the packing material. Got the rifle.
Check that out. I'll be looking at the rest of the stuff in the box.
It is already assembled. Bear Creek upper, Bear Creek lower. What do you think? This is about a 16-inch barrel,
I think
Mark?
16.5 inch
Does
barrel.
it say on it? 450 Bushmasters on the market.
You can't see that.
Yeah, I can see it. It says a 124 USA. That's the twist. Rear charging, smooth, clip eject, standard safety, fire, safe. We're gonna leave it on safe, Mark. Does it come with a clip?
No, it does not. That is one thing with the 450s. You do have to get a different clip from your standard 223 rounds. Same thing with the 350s. So we have a clip here ready to go.
We got the gun lock. Is that all that's in the box?
Pretty much it.
Oh, got a little paperwork maybe? Made in the USA.
That looks pretty good there, don't it?
Yeah, we're gonna take a pause, read the owner's manual. Y'all believe us, right? You know, I even like this, it's got adjustable stocks. Y'all know in the 350s, we let the kids shoot them too because of such a light recoil. So I love that it gets compact if you want it close quarters, but if you want it more rifle style, it shoulders really well. So Mark, you got the 450 Bushmaster just sitting on the lead sled, just to get it upright, give you a stationary place to mount this scope.
Right.
What kind of scope are we gonna put on this gun?
So we already had the Leopold 350, I think it's Freedom 350 is what they called. They make a Freedom 450, which this is the unboxing of it as well.
So we've just got, what is it, a 3x9?
3x9 by 40, 1-inch tube. And then basically they already have the turret set up for a 250 grain round. So once you get it on, you shoot it, sight it in 100 yards, and then you're able to adjust your elevation because this is a heavy round. I mean, you know that, like 200 yards, 250, that's stretching it. But you're able to adjust elevation. You want to go to 200 yards, you just click it to 2, she's dead on. So it's the Leopold railed as well. Pretty straightforward. Now, I like to use this scope kit because it comes with your, I guess they call it a fat wrench torquing, just because you know the screws are tight, you know what they're supposed to be too. So on these mounts here, the larger screws on bottom is 65 inch-pounds, the smaller screws are 28. But what I like to do is kind of get an idea of how it's going to sit on here to make sure we're where we need to be. And also, if you look, you got the little lock and lug. No Loctite on them at this time until we know that's where we want them to be. Always push your bases on a Picatinny rail to the front. That way it's buttoned up against that Picatinny rail, so recoil shouldn't move this gun. So we're just going to snug these up just finger tight right now. Not getting real tight at all. We want to make sure that we have it positioned front to back where this scope is meeting our eye relief. Get our scope put on here. Put the rings on. No Loctite or anything like that. We're just test fitting everything right now. Make sure you don't have any trash or anything on your rings. Everything's good and clean. So right now the scope is secure. It's not tight, so it's not going to fall off or anything. I can still move it if I need to, and we're just going to guess right now. So the biggest thing, I want to make sure the eye relief right here is good, that I can move forward a little bit or back and I still get a full field of view. I'm not going to be the one shooting this as much, so we're going to pass it off. This is going to be the deer camp gun.
For me, it's the same way. I'm good at the back. I'm good up on it, but that feels the best right there.
I use a scope mount kit with a torque wrench. It has levels, it has everything. But a lot of times I have trouble with the levels because you don't have much room for air. What I love about these mounts right here is it's flat here and the bottom of the scope's flat. So I got just a piece of key stock. This is actually the old feeler gauge. So I know that's perfectly square and flat. I take it and put it under here and turn it up and put tension on it. And then I just move the scope until it finds center. So I know if I'm making good contact at the bottom down here and on the bottom of the scope, that scope is perfectly level with this rifle. So what I'm gonna do now, just to keep this scope from moving on us, is a lot of times when you tighten your rings down, if you don't tighten them out even, it'll actually turn the scope in the rings and you're back out of level. So I'm gonna make sure I kind of got the same amount of clearance on each side, loosen this side just a little bit, and then snug this side up. And all I'm looking for is to make sure they're pretty even as far as one side's not pulling down more than the other. So now that I got these kind of finger tight snug more than they were, I'm just gonna take my feeler gauge again check it, put an eyeball on it, make sure I'm making contact all the way across. So I know it's a little bit redundant, but I'm gonna go ahead and torque all 8 of these screws to the 28 inch-pounds and then loosen one at a time to put Loctite on it. That way this scope has no chance it's gonna move, and I'm only gonna do one at a time, so nothing should get off or anything like that. Especially on these little machine screws like this, it doesn't take much. You can break them, you can strip them. So I was preaching to y'all saying, make sure you tighten these down to even so the scope didn't move. I looked at it through the crosshairs, guess what? It moved. And again, we're no gunsmith. This is a technique that I found that works well for me. I much rather spend a little extra time at this point in the game to know this scope's on the rest of the year and we don't have to worry about it. All right, so I took all the screws, just loosened them just a bump. That way we can turn the scope, got it reset to where I know it's level, it's back tight, it stayed put. So now it's time to get Loctite on these screws. We're gonna loosen one at a time. I got some blue Loctite. We're gonna do it all again, torque them to 28 inch-pounds.
What is Loctite?
It's just something to get in the threads that gets hard to keep the vibration from backing it off. So you don't necessarily have to use Loctite. Like I've seen people use like old candle wax. You just need something to fill up the gap in the threads. Now this does technically glue the threads together. You just want something to where if that bolt was to back off a little bit, it has some kind of friction other than just the torque of the bolt.
Does it make it difficult to change the scope or to back them off whenever you get ready?
This is blue Loctite, so it's only temporary. They have red, which is pretty strong, and then they have green, which I've used a lot of, that is permanent. I would not recommend using anything that stout in aluminum because it will pull the threads out. All right, so we have our 8 screws on the rings, torqued, Loctite's on them. Now we have to do the bottom screws that actually clamp it to the Picatinny rail. Now I have them loose right now, and you can see that you got slack right there, and that's what we were talking about. We want to make sure to push it toward the muzzle, and then we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to snug these up. So these will go to 65 inch-pounds. I'm just gonna snug them up to 28 real quick just to hold everything still.
And you Loctite those as well?
We Loctite these as well. That one will make you nervous. Tight as them are, that ain't going nowhere.
That ain't going
Okay,
nowhere.
good to go. Let me get our mess picked up and then we'll be ready to shoot. All right, Malcolm. It's time we've been waiting for.
So this is the first shot, right, Mark?
That's it.
Now we're gonna see if it's on paper because we know we're gonna have to adjust. Right now you're just shooting 25 yards. That's really all we're worried about. We're not worried about long distance at this point.
All right, fire in the hole.
It's like it hit low right.
Yep, we on paper. So what I'm doing here is I actually put the crosshairs back on the bullseye and I'm turning the dials until the crosshairs move to the bullet hole. Second shot, fire in the hole. Bullseye.
So what's the recoil, Mark, compared to the 350 Legend?
It's moving, but I'm not holding the gun tight either. So
well,
I mean, it's
it is
not
in the sled. You're not gonna feel full recoil.
right. Let's run the rest of this clip through it, see how it groups. I know we're only 25 yards, but we'll get a good idea.
That's good.
One more. It's smooth.
Smooth?
It's smooth.
No adjustments required?
She's ready to go. Now granted, we're only at 25 yards. So we'll carry this to the range, we'll get it dialed in at 100 yards and get our turret set up. But other than that, man, that's a success. All right, so that was our first shot. So that was almost exactly 2 inches down and about 2.5 to the right. So we corrected. That was the next 2 shots, hole and hole, and that was the last 2. That one there I know for a fact was me, I pulled it, but that's a pretty good group. We're only 25 yards. I'm anxious to see what this Rob's gonna do at 100.